the real reason you can't find friends at church anymore. This video is going to talk about why it's so hard to make friends at church right now. And if that's you, first of all, I want to say, I'm sorry you're going through that. It's so disappointing. I know many people are going through difficulties. You may be one of those people that you went through a difficult time and you were hoping that church would be one place where you could find friends and support, but you joined church and as hard as you tried, it didn't work and you felt alone. So I'm sorry that has happened. We're going to talk about another reason why this happens and what we can do to fix it. At Smarter Church, we try to focus on solutions. And if you want to be part of the solution, hit like and subscribe, because we're trying to get the word out so that Christians and Christian leaders start talking about these issues and fixing them. So one of the problems that has happened where it's so hard to make friends is that the pastors and the leadership are really leaving it up to the people to get connected, and they don't know how hard it is. This is sort of like having roads all around the nation with no signs and very few exit ramps, very few off ramps. What would happen if there were no traffic lights or signs or signals? Well, if you've been to some countries around the world where they don't have those things, you know what happens. It's chaos. People are driving around everywhere. There's accidents. People become defensive. They become competitive. And it creates a lot of dysfunction. It doesn't have to be like that, and we can fix it. Well, I'll tell you a story about Micaiah, who was a young mother. She was a single mom, a couple young kids, and life had just gotten so difficult. So she went to church hoping she could find friends, hoping she could find support. But as hard as she tried, she could not find friends. And as I was talking to Micaiah, she was saying, I don't know what's wrong. When I was in college, I had so many friends. In another video, we talked about why the military is so good at building friends. And today we're going to talk about why college is so good at building friendships. Some people might think, well, there's thousands of people your age and you don't have responsibility and it's so easy to make friends, but that's not really the case either. When you go to a college, there are sometimes tens of thousands of people, and the colleges know that if a freshman doesn't connect with good friendships in the first 2 months, that there's a good chance that person is going to leave college. So colleges and universities have known for years that their success depends upon relationships. And you know what their answer is? Their answer is not the fact that everyone's going there with a lot of people, but it is the campus organizations. It's the fraternities, it's the sororities, it's the sports teams, it's the music teams, it's the cultural groups. They work with these freshmen as soon as they come in, and they work really hard to make sure that you plug into one of these groups. And a lot of times this happens before the student gets to the school. They bring them in, give them a scholarship or an incentive to join one of these sports teams or one of these organizations that works with the college. A lot of times that scholarship is factored into the tuition that, hey, we want this person to be here for 4 years and not get homesick and lonely and leave. I don't know if you've been a part of a fraternity or a sorority or a good college group, but they have to create manageable size groups. They also can't be just thousands of people. They're going to break it down, and they can't be too small. Otherwise, that group won't succeed. So today we see a lot of large churches, and people aren't finding friends. So they say, oh, the answer is small groups. The answer is usually not small groups, because a lot of times small groups, they don't have the continuity. They don't last very long. They don't have the leadership. So the odds of someone really connecting in a group of just 8 random people that may not even be the same age or have the same interests is very rare. But one thing that fraternities and sororities do very good as well is they have trained leadership that focus on relationships. And through decades and decades, and sometimes maybe even a century, they have tried to perfect the relationships within that organization. They have manuals that their leaders go through to make sure not only is the group healthy, but that new people can integrate. So when you look at fraternities or sororities, you'll see that they have activities, they have events, they celebrate the holidays together, and they will help each other get employment. And that commitment may even last long after graduation, where you are part of this organization and they network. So there's support. But one thing they do really good is the sponsorship, or maybe it's kind of a host type of program. And so someone will come in, someone will sponsor them and help them to integrate, introduce them to other people, and make sure those relationships are a success. I went to a church once where they had a host or a sponsorship team. What would happen is every Sunday before church, there was a group of hosts that would meet in the foyer. And as new people would come in, they would begin to talk with them, kind of get to know them. And in the coming weeks, they would invite them out to lunch, kind of get to learn what their interests are. So if there's a husband that is into golf, he's got a couple kids, he's married to a wife who is into exercise and is raising the children, well, the next week they're going to contact not only the children's pastor, but also, hey, they're going to go to the men's group. Do you have some guys that like golf? This new guy that's coming in, he's also an engineer. Do we have any technical members in the men's group? Okay, they get those names, they'll contact them. As far as the ladies group, do we have anyone about this age that lives in this region where they live? She likes exercise. Are there some other ladies that really like exercise? Within the coming weeks, they begin to ask them in the foyer, hey, we met you a few weeks ago. We heard that you were really into golf. I want you to meet, Tom here at the church who's also really into golf. Introduce him. Hey, your wife is in exercise. This is Betty here. She's part of the yoga group here at the church. So they do a soft handoff, but then they also follow up. Usually what would happen is they would call back a couple weeks later, talk with the person they handed them off to. Hey, how is this person doing? Is this person meeting other people? How are you guys getting along? So they're connecting people where there's a high chance that they're going to connect and they're going to be friends. And if by chance they hang out a little bit, maybe they go out to lunch, maybe they go out to dinner, and yeah, they get along, but not, they kind of realize, I think this person would really get along even more with this person. Well, they follow through with the people that they've introduced them to. And this host program was so successful that over time, probably 3/4 of the church at some point in time had volunteered for the host program. So they also already know what's happening and what's expected of them. And they talk about it at the church and they highlight it in the different groups. So this host sponsor program was extremely successful. They train the leaders and they oversee the delegation. And this is so much better than a canned greeter program or a program that puts all the emphasis on one small group of people to keep meeting and forming friendships themselves, because people can only have so many close friendships. But if you're gifted in relationships and you're handing off the process and overseeing it and shepherding it, now that has sustainability. So, in conclusion, if you have tried to go to church and you didn't connect and you didn't find friends, I hope you can find some comfort in the fact that it's not you. This is just something that the church is struggling with right now. The pastors, so many of them are great people. The people in the churches, so many of them are great people. Many of them experiencing the same isolation that you're experiencing. And as Christians, we have to bring change. And that is what this channel is about, is talking about specific solutions like this type of host program, this type of group creation that can solve the problem so that others don't have to struggle like maybe you've struggled. And sometimes that's difficult. We may be designing systems that we may not fully realize the benefits of till sometime down the road, but we need to advocate. If you go to a church, you know some elders, you know the pastor, you realize this is a problem, let's work on solutions together so that the church can be stronger and stop losing so many people for unnecessary reasons. Thank you.